All right, everybody, we have Mindfulness Mondays, number 2. Welcome back. My name is Jeffrey, and this is the Project Eden Covenant. I want to talk. What I'll talk about today, or what we'll start off, what I'll talk about, is actually something. I'm glad this thing works. This microphone, because I accidentally washed it through the laundry machine. And because I left it in my jacket and I washed my jacket, and I was really sad. By the way, I'm a little bit diagonal because my phone's on the tree here, my favorite tree here on Knox Mountain. I got some nice sunset action going on. I do want to get in the habit of making these videos sunrise, but waking up at 5 in the morning is not entirely easy. So I'm gonna be a little bit of a diagonal oriented kind of thing. So yeah, I'm glad my microphones are working and I can sound okay on the video here. And something I want to use that example, washing my microphones in the wash and talking about mindfulness. I want to bring up a little bit of a linguistic, almost like a joke, but also turned out to be very, very powerful in the grand scheme of mindfulness. So there was this time where I thought of a funny joke, and I still want to do this. Kind of like a joke to tattoo on my left arm the question, "What is right?" As if to say the left arm only knows left, and everything in the world of left is left to the left arm. But it wonders, there's this other world that is right. What is right? So it's like, what is right? It's like philosophical. It's thinking metaphysically outside of its realm of possibility. And then on my right arm, I'm going to have the same thing except backwards. What is left? Almost like a thought bubble on my right arm. So it's like, what is left? All I know is right. Everything is right. But what is this left concept? Just as this joke. But then I thought about it a little bit more, and I was just like, wait, you could think of that on a deeper level. You could think of that like, what is left in terms of what is remaining, and what is right as if to say what is correct. Now that's interesting, because then it starts to make those two questions, what is left, what is right, way more significant than simply just a left arm joke. What is left and what is right? And I thought about it some more, and I've kind of figured out, like, kind of concluded that, those are some of the most important questions a person can ask. What is left? What is right? What is right? What is right in the world? That's one of the most fundamental philosophical questions, is what is the good? What is good and what is bad? Right? Right? Oh, man. It just keeps going. Then what is left, what is remaining, well, like, that's our job to do. So it's almost like what is right is the compass, and what is left is the driving force that gets us there. What is right is our integrity. That's the what is the right thing? What is the correct value to strive for? And then what is left, that is the steps that are remaining for us to get to that right. So in terms of these microphones, what is right? Taking care of your microphones, Jeff. Not having them damaged. That is what's right. And what is left? Taking them out of your pocket before you do your laundry. That is what's left. And I was not mindful of what was left. And so how does this translate to you, or to Project Eden, or anything outside of what I'm talking about with my microphones? I think can be very valuable for anybody to ask those questions in any situation. What is the right thing? And it takes the individual I, the ego, out of it. Because when you think about what is right, it's an objective question. You're asking broader, what's the right thing for the situation, for everyone involved, rather than it being, what am I supposed to do? Where do I fit in? What is right? And that can transcend just you. It can involve multiple people, right? It takes the weight off. It spreads it around. What is right? What is left? So if you look at the world, and you look at what's going on, situations, global events, and you ask, what is right? What is the right way forward? And when you figure that out, you ask, what's left? What is in the way of getting there? This goes right down to the basics of, say, entrepreneurship. If you want to set a business up and you want to, be profitable and make and survive in the market, you need to ask questions that are beyond your own two eyes. You got to think wider. That question of what is right for this. What if you think about it in terms of entrepreneurship, there's all sorts of factors like timing and market need and consumer behavior and all these different things that you have to analyze outside of your own mind and outside of your own thinking and your own opinion, your own perspective. You need to take inventory of other people's perspectives and other experts' information, right? You got to build a catalog of information. You can't just think of it about it yourself. And so if you think about the wider world of what is right, it's a big question. It's a big, big question. So instead of making this a very deep and long-winded conversation about mindfulness, I think that that's a really good tool to ask yourself on a regular basis, whether it be as simple as putting dinner together, or if it's deciding on a career path, or, anything really. What is right? That's what's correct. And what is left? What is remaining? There's lots remaining in terms of Project Eden. In terms of the world becoming a global community, that's what Eden is. So that's what's right. Everyone looking out for each other's needs. Everyone checking in with their weeds. I think that's what's left. Us checking in with our weeds. And when you find a weed, what is right? What is the weed teaching me? What's it telling me? Why am I upset? Why am I bothered? Why am I resentful? Why am I poking my opinions and attitudes towards this person in this nasty way? Why am I aiming that at myself, maybe? That's what's left. That's what's left. Thanks, everyone.